What's going on, Hellcats and Hellhounds? It's your Hellmaster Dede back with a brand new video, and today we will be revisiting the most controversial Halloween movie in the entire franchise, Halloween Ends. But before we do that, make sure you smash the hell out of that like button. Make sure you follow your Hellmaster on all social media platforms, and let's go ahead and revisit the masterpiece or the piece of garbage that is Halloween Ends. So, ladies and gentlemen, Hellcats and Hellhounds, if you guys don't know, I'm a huge Michael Myers fan and I'm a huge Halloween fan. I have seen every single Halloween movie that has been released, and throughout the franchise, there have been some really bad Halloween films, but the most controversial film in the entire series has to be Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends was the finale in a trilogy brought to us by David Gordon Green. He revamped the franchise and revitalized the franchise with Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 was met with some really great reviews. All in all, the horror community really did enjoy Halloween 2018. Fast forward a couple of years later and Halloween Kills comes out. Now, this is where the controversy starts to sink in. Halloween Kills, in retrospect, was a good film, but there was some controversy with the film. A lot of people did not like the pacing of the film. Yes, there was some cool kills, and yes, there was some really cool chase scenes, but what was missing in Halloween Kills was Laurie Strode. But this is not about Halloween Kills, this is about Halloween Ends. Fast forward a couple years later, after the pandemic, Halloween Ends is released, and with this film, it is definitely the most controversial film that has came out in the past 30 to 40 years. What went wrong with this film and what went right? Well, I'm going to start off with what went right with this film. We have a really cool story. Now, I know a lot of people are going to come at me in the comments saying, whoa, the story is cool. Yes, we were introduced to the character of Corey Cunningham, played by Rohan Campbell, and his story was very interesting to say the least. He was a babysitter who was blamed for an accident murder. The town turned against him, and he stumbles upon Michael Myers after the events of Halloween Kills. Now, this is where the story gets kind of weird. Now, I do enjoy the story of Corey Cunningham, but I didn't enjoy the way Corey Cunningham and Michael Myers connected. It felt like when Michael Myers was on screen, that he was kind of, dumbed down for the sake of Corey Cunningham. There was a lot of scenes in Halloween Ends that just made you think, like, what were the writers and producers thinking? So we'll get to the negatives here in a second, but back to the positives. So I did enjoy the story of Corey Cunningham. I did enjoy the story of Allison. Allison did really well, played by Andy Malichik. She did really well. Laurie Strode even had a decent storyline in Halloween Ends. Now, was it the best storyline of her career? Absolutely not, but it was decent enough. And that's really it. That's all of the positives that I can think about for this film. Now on to the negatives. Like I was saying earlier, it felt like when you had Michael Myers on screen, he was dumbed down for the sake of Corey Cunningham. The kills were not as good on Michael Myers' part. I don't even know how many kills he actually had. This might be the lowest kill count for Michael Myers in the entire franchise, and I wasn't happy with that. Michael Myers has to be the focal point of any Halloween movie. Now, I understand you bring in this new character of Corey Cunningham, and yes, he was interesting, but for the past 5 to 6 years, you were telling a story about Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. And all of a sudden, here comes this new character who takes up half of the movie time and screen time with his girlfriend, Allison. Now, as a fan of teenage love stories, I'm cool with it, but not for the sake of Michael Myers. I would much rather have Michael Myers in the film rather than have a love story between Allison and Corey. Another thing that I didn't like was the finale. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't want Michael Myers to die. I could care less if Michael Myers dies or if Laurie Strode dies. I really don't care. But what I didn't like was the way it happened. So if you guys don't know, go back to before Halloween Ends was released, there was the fight scene trailer. And the entire fight scene trailer is exactly what we got in the movie. So we've seen the fight scene before the movie even came out. So when I'm watching the movie and I'm watching the fight scene, I'm like, oh, well, I've seen all of this. And to throw his body into a, car compactor or whatever you want to call it, a car breaker, whatever you want to call it, it was like, yeah, that's cool, but it really wasn't a finale. The ending to Halloween Ends just felt very rushed. I mean, it just didn't seem like it really had a direction. In one direction, they were going with Corey Cunningham. In the other direction, they were going with Michael Myers. Then you got to throw in Laurie Strode's storyline, plus the town of Haddonfield. I mean, it was just really all over the place. That is the problem with Halloween Ends. It was just all over the place. It's not necessarily garbage, but it's not necessarily good either. When you have a Halloween film, there are certain expectations from the Halloween community that you have to fulfill. And I don't think that this was a good ending to a trilogy. Now, with the Corey Cunningham storyline, if you would have introduced the character of Corey Cunningham in possibly Halloween 2018 or even Halloween Kills, then we would dig that. But with you bringing his story in at the end of a trilogy, it was just unwanted and ungranted. So all in all, Halloween Ends is a solid film. It's not a bad film, but it's definitely not a good film. It's just a solid film. But as always, that's just your Hellmaster's opinion. What the hell do you Hellcats and Hellhounds think? Do you guys enjoy Halloween Ends all these years later, or do you think it's still overrated trash? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm your Hellmaster Dede, and make sure you subscribe to your Hellmaster on YouTube, follow us on all social media platforms, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.